can see, I have no helpers with me today. It was my birthday this week, and I asked the kids if they would mind if I did it myself. So they were gracious enough to do that. So I'm going to start. It's going to go a little quicker. So we're making lemon meringue pie today, my favorite pie. And we're going to start with, we have sugar, cornstarch, and salt. So for each recipe, it's a half a cup, 1.5 cup sugar, and 6 tablespoons of cornstarch, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm making a double recipe because, like I said, this is my favorite pie. So we're just gonna put it through the thing so we don't get any lumps and bumps. It says sift, but I don't have a sifter, so I use my metal strainer. Takes a little bit longer, but as you can see, there's quite a few lumps and bumps from the sugar. We don't want that in our filling because we want our filling to be super smooth and creamy. So just continue doing this, and we'll smash up these lumps and we'll get a really nice, beautiful filling. Now, you might wonder why I'm making from scratch. It's because I really like the flavor, and I can make it as sweet or as tangy as I like. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to slowly whisk in. Grab my whisk. If you're making one pie, it's a half a cup sugar. If you're making two, it's or not sugar, pardon me. If you're making one pie, it's a half cup water, cold water. If you're making two, as you can see, I'm whisking in 1 cup cold water. Then we also have to add our lemon juice. I didn't have enough lemons to squeeze, so I just used the real lemon. It's a half a cup per recipe. Here we have a cup. And we're going to whisk this in. We want all the creaminess that we can get. There we go. Okay, and then we're also going to need some hot water a little bit later, but I'm going to clean up this mess right now. All right, so now we're going to turn this on to medium heat. And the thing with lemon meringue pie is you have to stir all the time because it will burn to the bottom. Now we're going to heat this until it thickens and small bubbles break the surface. And then we're going to remove it from the heat. We're going to add some hot boiling water to it. I believe it is 3 cups of boiling hot water. This will be enough to do 2 pies. So I'm just going to leave this for a second just to check on my pie crust. My pie crust with lemon meringue pie, you use pre-baked pie crusts, which I did earlier today. Still not quite done, so we'll leave it for a couple minutes. And this is really good pie. All right, so if our camera dude wants to come and have a look at this, it's just starting to heat up. Now I'm gonna just give my egg yolks. So it would be 4 egg yolks, but in this case, because I'm doing 2 pies, it's 8 egg yolks. And we're gonna add those in. I got a little bit of white in here, I didn't mean to, but as you can see, what gives you your lemony color is actually your yolks. So it kind of works out good that way. And then we're also gonna add some butter. So for each recipe, 2 tablespoons of butter. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This butter will melt in as we're going. You might have saw that it was a little bit heaping. That's because butter often sticks to your utensils. So we have to keep stirring this now until the bubbling and the thickening starts. Then we're going to add our hot water and our lemon peel. We have, it says 2 teaspoons of lemon peel per recipe. If you want it a tad bit tangier, you can increase that. If you like it a little bit sweeter, you can reduce that, because what gives you the tanginess is your lemon peel. So the lemon juice, of course, does too. But The lemon peel does a lot of that job. So I'm just gonna keep stirring here. We're gonna be back in just a second when, well, a second for you guys, when this starts to thicken and I remove it and I add my boiling hot water. And I think actually, just one sec, I think our pie crusts are definitely done now. So it takes about 10, 15, 20 minutes for your pie crusts to be browned. You don't want them too dark, but you don't want them too light either, or else your pie crust falls apart. So we're gonna leave these over here so our cameraman can come and have a nice look, give you a nice shot of what they should look like. When you're pre-baking your pie crust, make sure you poke holes in it. It prevents shrinking, or it helps. So you want your pie crust pre-baked to about this color. Your pies do have to go back in the oven when you get your meringue on, but only for about 10 minutes, so they will cook a tiny bit more. Okay, as you can see, bubbles are now breaking the surface, and it is starting to thicken. I'll just grab a spoon and just kind of show you. It's starting to thicken, so it's not quite as runny as water, and you can see by how it sticks to the spoon. So we're gonna turn down our heat just a little bit, just to 3. And we're gonna whisk in our boiling hot water. And you can see how it's really starting to thicken now. And of course our lemon peel. We'll whisk that in. Okay. And I'm gonna take this off the burner so I don't get burnt, because it's really starting to thicken now. Let's turn this off. Oops, off. Ugh. Now it's really starting to thicken, hey? So we want this clear though, so you can see it's really starting to thicken. So we want this clear because we're not making, oh, what am I thinking of? I can't remember. But your sugar will melt clear, your salt will melt clear, and your cornstarch will turn clear as it cooks. So you want it kind of a, not this kind of a whitish yellow, you want it to be clear. And you can see as I'm stirring, clear streaks are coming through. And when that is mostly clear, we're going to add a little bit more butter, another tablespoon, actually 2 tablespoons. Oh, it smells good. And we're just gonna let it sit for about 4 minutes, and every 2 minutes we're gonna give it a whisk. It's really got a nice lemony smell to it right now. So I'm gonna add a little bit more butter, 2 tablespoons. This time I'm gonna try and get it all in there. 1 and a bit. I'm gonna add, because I might have added a little extra last time. Okay, we're gonna stir that in. I've turned my burner off, so there's still a little bit of heat under here, but not a lot of heat as the burner cools down. And you'll see it's getting clearer and clearer. So what I meant to say was a custard. You don't want it custardy. So you can also use this bread. It keeps in the fridge for about a week, and you can use it for toast. So if you've ever bought lemon spread in the jams, jellies aisle, that's what this is. Same stuff. So, and you can make yourself some lemon custards. You can make anything out of this. You don't have to make lemon meringue pie. So while that's sitting, I'm gonna get started on my meringue. Because very shortly after we do the filling in the pie crust, we have to top it with meringue. So my meringue, I have 8 eggs in here. Sorry. And, or egg whites. Now you don't want to get any yolks in your egg whites, because a meringue will not puff up if there's any fat in there. You also have to make sure you're using clean things like your clean mixer, clean bowl. Now, one thing that happened to me is, if my cameraman wants to look, and I wanted to leave this for you guys instead of me taking it out, is I left a little shell. So the best way to get out shell, because I mean this has happened to the best of us, is to use the actual eggshell itself instead of fishing in there with your fingers. So shell is gone, it's inside here. So that's why, if you were wondering why I had an eggshell here. So for this, we have to beat it up. And when it gets close to being done, we have to add our sugar, a half a cup sugar, so 1 cup sugar, with like literally 1 tablespoon at a time. And we also add cream of tartar. Cream of tartar helps your meringue take its shape, and we have to add some vanilla. But we're going to start beating this now. So our cameraman's going to cut out until it's almost ready. So here's our eggs. You can see that they're already foamy. I'm going to keep beating and I'm going to add my cream of tartar. All right, so as you can see, my meringue can already make peaks. That's how you can tell it's ready to add your sugar. And you want to do your sugar very carefully because you can actually ruin your meringue by adding your sugar too quickly. So we're going to sprinkle it, if I can get the chunks out. It's very humid here, so we're going to add our sugar, 1 tablespoon at a time. All right, our meringue is done. Supposedly you're supposed to be able to tip the bowl and it doesn't fall out, and as you can see, it's not falling. Also stiff peaks. All the sugar is nicely incorporated in it. And now we are going to put our filling. So I'm just going to give it one more quick stir so it's nice and smooth, because of course it does tend to get a bit of a skin on it. We don't want that. But it's really nice and thick. The more it cools, the thicker it will get. And we're going to pour this into our pies. Try to make them as even as possible. So once again, nothing wrong with the mix for pies. It is a little bit less work, but not a whole lot, because you still have to make your meringue. You still have to kind of cook it in the same method. So it's not really that short of a process. Maybe a little bit on your prep time. Oops. Get all that yummy lemon filling in there. I don't want to waste it, although I might lick it off camera. So, audience, since I don't have any kids to play off today, I have a joke for you. What did the lemon say to the lime? I'm letting you think. Thought about it? Nothing. Lemons don't talk. Ha ha. So I'm just going to give this a few seconds to cool. Doesn't have to cool overly much, because you want to get this on there and get this into the oven as soon as possible. But so far it looks awesome. So if our cameraman wants to come over, now we have to put on our meringue. And I try not to smush mine, but you have to make sure that your meringue touches your edge, or you're going to get a separation happening, and we don't want a separation happening. Try and put it on as nice and thick and fluffy as you want. So we're just going to go around the edges first and make sure that our meringue is completely touching our crust. And you can also do this with a piping bag if you're so inclined. I still haven't found my piping bag, so I'm going to do it the little bit easier way, I think. And then we're going to fill in our center now that we've got the thing done. And you can, whether you use a spoon, whether you use a fork, whatever, all you have to do, I got to make sure I only use half. You can just floof your meringue, and it makes those beautiful peaks. Now, some people use literally 8 eggs or 8 whites per pie. I find that that's just a little tiny bit too much meringue for me. I mean, I really like the meringue, but I gotta tell you, the lemon filling is really what I go for. So if you wanna make one of those pies where the pie is this thick and then the meringue on top is this thick, go for it. Use eight egg whites. But I just like a little bit of meringue. Balances out the flavor of the lemon because your meringue is a little bit more bland, more sweet than anything. And then to get your floofy peaks, you can use this, or you can use a fork to do the same thing. You don't have to go for the whole piping bag look. Okay, and I'm gonna do the other one, then I'm gonna pop them in the oven, so we'll be right back. All right, we're back. I have topped both pies with the meringue. Now, I think when I was telling you about the lemon curd, that you can refrigerate it, and I may have forgotten to mention that it can be refrigerated for about a week. It doesn't have all the chemicals and preservatives that the store-bought stuff does have. So it really doesn't take all that long for your meringue to brown, anywhere between 6 to 15 minutes depending on your oven. So we're just gonna keep an eye on it, and we'll be back when we take it out. Great, so our meringue has been cooking about maybe 10 minutes. That's generally anywhere between 10, like I said, 10, 20 minutes. This is about as dark as I like it, so I'm gonna pop these pies out. Now as you can tell, it's still a little jiggly. That's because the filling hasn't set yet. So you can't taste the lemon meringue pies right away. We're gonna have to let them cool down to room temperature and allow that curd to set properly. See, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. A little like Jell-O. Now I know some people would probably prefer their meringues to be a little darker, and that's cool. This is just how I like them. So you can get them go a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, totally up to you. But this is how I like my lemon meringue pies to look. And hopefully I did everything correctly, and as this cools, you'll get drops that form on top of your meringue, and it makes it look scrumptious. So we'll be back when we're ready to taste. So we're gonna take, I don't know, probably at least an hour to an hour and a half break. Let these cool off. I'd put them outside, but my dogs would eat them. And yeah, we'll be right back.
Go.
So we're back, taster's time. So I have to have the kids here with me tasting. Not that I mind having the kids here. So our pie is done. If our cameraman wants to come and take a close up, you can see the beads of the sugar standing out on it. That's what makes your lemon meringue pie look so delicious. Wow. And as you can see, one whole pie is gone. It's all here. And then this one's for hubby. So now we're gonna taste. Okay, everybody ready? Go ahead.
I'm gonna get some more. What?
Good. My favorite pie. It turned out really good. Now the one thing about lemon meringue pie is this is still a little warm. So the, as you can see, the meringue is still, or not the meringue, the curd is still a little soft, spready. But if we had left this longer, it would have firmed out. So what do you guys think?
Good.
Good. Just in time for snack time to have a piece of pie. So once again, like, subscribe, hit the little bell, comment. Don't forget about the contest. It's still running. I think the day before Easter, that video will be the last video, egg video. So I still have to decide what I'm going to do for my egg video there. But until then, bye.